The Seattle Mariners fall on opening day, but I'll tell you what, there is a ton to be excited about. Do not panic.
Baseball stuff! Baseball stuff!
Yes, welcome on into Hold My Trident podcast, the Seattle Mariners podcast, and we are diving right in. Opening day has come and gone, and we're here. We're finally back, and let's put it behind us. We can put Game 7 of the ALCS finally behind us. We can get that bad feelings out of us, but now we have to feel a loss that just happened in the opening day. Falling 6-4 to the Cleveland Guardians on opening day at T-Mobile Park, and Gavin Height, this is some exciting stuff. Don't get me wrong. A lot of home runs, all of them actually. 4 home runs, 4 solo home runs in this one by the Mariners. That's the only kind of
silver lining, if you will.
Silver linings, right? A lot of excitement in this game, but of course, falling short and moving to 0-1. When the AL West, when the Astros lose, when the Rangers lose, think about it now. If you stop the count, the Los Angeles Angels are a sole first place in the AL West. Take me through your thoughts on this one. Lots to talk about, especially a lot of home runs.
Yeah, and the home runs kind of take the charge on this whole, I guess, story of tonight, and who they were hit by, I guess, is the big key factor here. We love that there's home runs. Game 1, we're still in March. We're still in March in Seattle. You just don't see home runs a whole lot, and to kind of tap into who they were hit by. Fun fact, 3 of them were hit by guys that are from the Cleveland area, which I thought was kind of ironic and funny. But yeah, three of the home runs were hit by guys that are actually from the opposing team from Cleveland. So I thought that was funny. Want to get into your thoughts as well too. What are your thoughts about early season home runs?
Brendan Donovan, first at bat as a Seattle Mariner, hits a home run. I couldn't be more thrilled. that the first home run for the Seattle Mariners this year is Brendan Donovan, because a lot of people ask the question, is this trade worth it? Is he going to be able to stand up to the test? Is his stats going to regress? Now, I understand there's 162 games and 1 home run, 1 at bat doesn't obviously change everything, but this was the table setter. This is exactly what you traded him for. And he goes 2 for 4 in the game. He gets you an RBI, gets you a run. Yeah, he had 1 strikeout, but his first at bat was a 353-foot homer. And it was brilliant. And it was everything you need. I can only imagine what our friends, Emily, a couple of our friends there at the game were feeling. I'm sure it was absolutely pandemonium in the stadium when that home run went off. But to me, he's kind of like my gatekeeper, because we've talked about it in the past, how I covered him when I used to work for the Cardinals, writing for different sites, and I fell in love with Brendan Donovan. So then him getting traded over to Seattle, he's kind of like my drug of choice, if you will, to get into like pure Seattle Mariners fandom. And I'll be honest, I take a couple of the thoughts against him a little personally, cue the MJ beam, if you will. The fact that he got that home run first and foremost, it felt really good. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that was I loved that we can toss it straight over to you as somebody who covered him formerly, and this was your entrance really into Marinership, and honestly, you live in Seattle, you've adapted a lot to Seattle sports and everything, but I mean, what a time to be a Mariners fan, and also just to have Brendan Donovan lead the charge. It was the first home run on opening day by a leadoff hitter for the Mariners in history for the Seattle Mariners. So that was really cool to see. And yeah, there was a lot of doubts on this trade. Were we getting rid of the wrong guys to get the right guy? Or was the market only shifted that way? Is it like a Jose Quintana trade from once upon a time where they were giving up a lot just to get a left-handed pitcher? Yeah, you got to see that on game 1 on the first at bat in a 3-1 count. I mean, it's awesome.
Sarah Lang's put out a stat. Always love that we can go back and talk Sarah Lang stats now that we're back in baseball season. Sarah Lang tweets, if you will. She put out one, and there's only 5 players since 2010 that have had leadoff home runs in the debut of their team. Brendan Donovan obviously doing it last night. And then Brad Miller for Texas in 2022. Kyle Schwarber, when he made his Phillies debut, go figure, he hit a home run today as well.
Brad Miller.
Andrew McCutchen, when he made his debut with the Phillies, and Starling Marte back in 2012 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So only 5 players have done it in the last 16 years, making their debut as a leadoff hitter. And then, as you mentioned, the first time ever for a Seattle Mariner doing it on opening day. And then you talk about this. There's 3 other home runs that happened this one. That was all the scoring. There was 4 solo home runs. And usually, like, we're going to talk about pitching, and I'm going to tell you how I'm not really too concerned about solo home runs. And if you're a Cleveland Guardians fan, you can say the same thing too, because you won this baseball game. But having 4 of them, I mean, that's exciting. I'd like to see a little bit more diverse, a little bit more offense, and hopefully you get that over the weekend. But 2 of these came from Dominic Canzone, and another one came from Luke Raley. To me, I put this tweet out in our group chat when we were listening to the game and watching the game last night. I think out of all the players on the roster that could have said, let's hit a home run and prove everybody wrong, all the doubters this offseason, I think you checked all 3 boxes. Brendan Donovan, Dominic Canzone, which I've seen things on social media about people thinking he's getting DFA'd in the middle of the season. And then Luke Raley, because of all his injury concerns that he had last year, you get moments from them on opening day, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and that was what I wanted to get into. I let it off with 3 home runs from Cleveland area guys. Obviously, those are the ones right there. I believe Luke Raley went to a small Division II school called Lake Erie College, which I actually do have familiarity with. When I was coaching, I sent a couple players up that way, and they're just outside of Cleveland. But it was kind of funny and ironic that you get. And then Dominic Canzone went to Ohio State, and he's from the area. I think he went to Walsh Jesuit High School, which is I think it's in Canton, or just just south of Cleveland, not terribly far away. So you get 2 Cleveland area guys that are putting up 3 home runs against their probably childhood teams, I'm assuming. Just awesome. But from the right guys, these are guys that are on kind of prove it years. They're on that they're on a team that's working their way back towards a ALCS and beyond, and they're trying to prove it for their own career right now. You saw it from Dominic Canzone in spurts last year, or I guess on a more of a sample size with 300 to 400 at bats, and then Luke Raley's been battling his own injuries and coming out coming out the gate swinging. So this is something that's very positive. Understandably, with a 6-4 loss, it's always hard to be positive in any loss. It's hard to be positive. But when your first 4 hitters are being complemented by your back 4 hitters, or 4 hitters and towards the end, there's a lot to like about that. Yes, there's other guys that probably should have stepped up, no doubt about it. But when you get production like that at the end of your lineup, well, when everything starts running on all cylinders, you're going to have a really good lineup. And this is one of those things. We still haven't even seen Rob Refsnyder. We still haven't seen our favorite, Mitch Garver. We haven't seen some of these other guys that you don't know what this team can do as a full team, I guess is the best way. But good start for some guys that we kind of had question marks just as a whole.
Yeah, Brendan Donovan obviously setting the table with his 2 hits, but you got to be able to, if you're going to set the table, you got to be able to have somebody help, eat the food in the middle of that lineup. Obviously with Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodríguez, Josh Naylor, they didn't perform in the opening day. And look, that's not going to happen every night. There's no doubt about that. But I think we have to obviously announce it, 6 strikeouts between Cal Raleigh and Julio, each having 3 apiece. If you take out the Brendan Donovan 2 hits out of the 6 total, all of those come in the bottom of the lineup. As you mentioned, all the performance came at the bottom of the lineup. 14 strikeouts in this one, 6 of them coming from your 2 best players. Shake that off for what you will. Obviously, Cal and Julio both played in WBC, so you want to make sure that they can adjust back to Major League Baseball as fast as possible. And I think that hopefully they can do that this weekend. I'm not worried by any stretch of the imagination. I think we have to put out this disclaimer. And I think we got to put this out now. Let's put it out early. Let's put it out on our very first episode of Mariners post-game baseball. And for the record, here at Hold My Trident, you're getting episodes every day here on the channel. So if you're listening on audio on YouTube, be sure to check in every morning. We are bringing you the content every game, every day, right here on Hold My Trident. I think we got to get out of that playoff mindset, because I myself felt that for sure. And I don't think I'm the only one, just by going to social media, listening to our group chats, going to Discords of Mariners fans. nitpicking every single thing because it's the playoffs and you're worried about losing in something in like an ALCS game or a playoff game or something like that. This is game one of the season. We got to take a step back and remember that this team is the best team, probably the most talented team we've had at least since 2001. I think you have to remember that and kind of just pump the brakes just slightly.
And I keep going back, I think you and I specifically had multiple conversations where the first 20 to 30 games, it's really just test and see. Julio's April stats career-wise, this is year 5, I believe, for him. His career stats in April are not good. They're not even close to good. So don't expect a whole lot. It's okay. And if they outperform that, that's awesome. That's great. That's what's definitely what we want. But if they don't perform well in the month of April and kind of going forward, it's about finding the silver linings. It's about finding the what can you move forward with? And that kind of bleeds into the pitching, which I know we're gonna tap into right now is why wasn't Matt Brash used in game 1? And you never know what's going on. First of all, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. He might be dealing with something and maybe it wasn't discussed and they're not trying to put out that information. But also, you got to start testing the waters on some of these other guys early because they don't have options. And if you need to get rid of them, you need to get rid of them. Guys like Cooper Criswell, who doesn't have any options left. Guys like Casey Legumina, who I believe doesn't have any options left. Those are the guys that you need to test the waters on kind of soon. That way, okay, if they're not going to help us win a championship, all right, we got to let them go, DFA them, let them, either come back and play in AAA if we get lucky to get them back. If not, they need to go off in their own direction. And we need to find the next man up, which in my opinion, I think is Yasver Zulueta. Keep an eye on that guy. I've mentioned his name at least 5 or 6 times. So has Emily. But in my opinion, you got to start using these guys early and in tough situations. You got to test. It's a stress test. And right now is the time that you stress test that, not in August or September when you're in that hunt, when you're in that race. So don't be too upset, I guess is the best way to put it, if we're not performing W's right away. Yes, we want to do that, but it's not always going to happen.
Yeah, Gabe Spire pitched 20 pitches. You can assume that he's probably unavailable for tomorrow. Ferrier had 11 pitches. Maybe he pitches a little bit tomorrow. Maybe comes in a relief for a back end of an inning or something like that. But I don't know if you want to be able to throw out Spire and Ferrier and Brash and Bizzardo all on night 1. And then you're in the middle of a 4-game series. You don't have an off day until you travel for your road trip next Tuesday. I don't know if you want to do that all in game 1. So I think you also have to, again, this goes back to my original statement of, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. This isn't a playoff game. This is where you're back to playing chess. And everybody loves to go right back to the Dan Wilson conversation. And I'm not ready to I'm not going to be like Dan Wilson defender all year. That's not going to be my thing. I promise. But tonight I am. I am because it's game 1.
I agree. Yes, you want, this is a memorable moment, right? It is opening night. We're coming off of a very good year, and we're coming off of an emotional year. We lost in Game 7 to ALCS, so it's understandable why tensions are high, emotions are high. A win is expected. I'm with you as a fan to understand that, but understand that we're also preparing for 162 games, and just pump the brakes. You'll be all right. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to find out who's going to help us become that champion. It's not going to be on game 1.
2 Baja Blasts, by the way, in this game. 2 home runs over 420 feet. If you didn't see that, the Baja Blast, you can get those. MLB.com has this thing that's probably going to be a running joke until they run out of that 5 games into the season. One of them was Dominic Canzone. He had the longest home run of the night, 444 feet. On the other side, Chase DeLauter, former James Madison product. He made his MLB debut in the playoffs last year. This was technically his first regular season game, not his MLB debut. Should have been, because he got called up for the playoffs last year, if you remember. But this is his first regular season game and debut. He hits 2 home runs, one of them being against Logan Gilbert at the beginning of the game. Other than that first home run in the first inning from DeLauter against Gilbert, I thought Gilbert didn't perform bad. I mean, he had 7 strikeouts. He did let up a couple other runs later on in the game. Wasn't the best outing by Logan Gilbert, but still it was enough to be serviceable, to get you in the game, to stay in the game, especially how the offense performed. Really no notes, no issues that I have or concerns for Logan Gilbert's start. But obviously you can tell it's not midseason form yet from him.
Yes, and just a quick note on Chase the Lauder. This was back in 2019. I know this is a little sidebar, a little side quest, story, but I used to coach college baseball, and I ran in some pretty cool circles and got to meet some really cool people. Well, I was at an ABCA event, which is the American Baseball Coaches Association, where most of the coaches get together and get to network and everything. Well, back then, this was 2019, 2020, somewhere right in that window, and I met Coach Eikenberry over at James Madison University. Had a great conversation with him. Had a couple players that I was, trying to get, sent that way, and they went on their visits. But he was telling me, he's like, hey, I was asking him, hey, what players you got, coming this year? We're excited to watch James Madison. I got the ESPN Plus now, so let's do this. This is right when college baseball was making that turn. And he was like, Gavin, I got something to tell you, man. Like, there's this kid, Chase DeLauder. He's a sophomore right now. You got to watch him. Just watch this kid. This kid is phenomenal. So since then, this was 2019, 2020. I've just been keeping tabs on him, and he had a powerful sophomore year, even more powerful of a junior year. Lucked into the draft with the Cleveland Guardians and everything. And now we're seeing it come to fruition here in 2026. And man, it's really cool to see that from the ground up and see that kid and see the family that was there. I got to see, unfortunately I had to watch the Guardians broadcast. And so I was seeing the parents like lose their minds on the home runs and everything. But I got to give, I know this is a Mariners podcast, but I got to give a shout out to Chase DeLauder. Heck of a game. Yes, it was his first, it wasn't his major league debut, but it was his major league regular season debut. And he did something really cool. He had 2 home runs in his major league debut. They said there's, I think, 4 or 5 other players that have ever done that. And the last one was JPR and CBO, which if you don't know who that is, that's how long ago it happened. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I wanted to give a shout out to Chase DeLauder and a great game.
Yeah, and I feel like we are up with sports. We also probably should give a quick little shout out to Manzardo. Okay, former Washington State Coug.
Go Cougs.
One hit on 4 at bats. There did have a walk, did have a strikeout, but got himself on base as well. A great player to watch as well for Cleveland. It'll be fun to watch him all the rest of the season, just not this weekend at T-Mobile Park. But I'm sure he loves it because I'm sure he's got a lot of friends and family.
Yeah, he's a Spokane native. He's back home. And yeah, I have Manzardo on my fantasy team as well. That the single that he had through the 4-hole through the right side, I was like, all right, there's a couple points for my team. But yeah.
Oh no! So you play players against the Mariners. You don't bench them. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I gotta
fanhood, everybody.
I run a business here. I gotta try and win.
Fair enough. All right, running the business here. We understand. Closing the book on Logan Gilbert, and I was looking at his CSW is called strikes and whiffs, 29%. It's not the best. That's definitely not for sure. His cutter wasn't very good. Going into deep analytics here, he did get 2 strikeouts off of it, but had no whiffs on 8 attempts to be in the strike zone, 8 swings, I should say. He had no whiffs on that cutter. His splitter was great. 4 of his 7 strikeouts came on that splitter. That was probably his best pitch of the night. Fastball was a little down velo-wise, not too crazy, but something maybe to pay a little attention to. Was just about a half mile below his yearly average from last year.
Yeah, I was about to say the one splitter that I saw, I think that was touched up a little bit was the Rhys Hoskins double down the line. I think that was the only splitter that was actually hit fairly good. Splitter was on tonight. Fastball. I think he was just unclutch. He would get into hitters counts and then lose the hitter to a single or a double, or he'd get into those situations and just let the situation grab him a little bit bigger. And yeah, there's a long season ahead of us. I'm glad that we gave him. I'm really glad that we gave him opening day. Couple different reasons, right? We're trying to get this guy long term, and this is the year that we're hopefully aiming for that. But B, all right, let's let the kid cook. Here's game 1. Let's see if he learns from his mistakes and goes out next time and he gives you 6 or 7 innings and he's able to have that, I guess, bounce back start. Yeah, he still gave up 5 hits for 3 runs. When you break it down, it's 5 hits for 3 runs. We say that's not great, but that's not great for Logan Gilbert, for Mr. Walter. So yes, we're hoping that he can learn from a couple of mistakes that he might have made, just on clutch or tinkering stuff with stuff, or velo being where it's at. I still got plenty of faith in Walter to go 30 plus starts and give us exactly what we need for the rest of the year.
I'm trying to remember spring training this year. I think there was a storyline as soon as Cal left the World Baseball Classic about him throwing the cutter and how Cal hates it. That was Logan, right? That was him.
Yeah,
And then
I believe so.
looking at the pitch velocity and looking at last year's averages, there's nothing to be found. So I'm pretty sure this was the first time he threw a cutter compared to last season. I don't think he threw it at all last year, at least not enough to be shown as getting a yearly average. So him throwing, 18 cutters in this game, getting 2 strikeouts off it. Maybe he didn't get any whiffs. Cal Raleigh was behind the dish when this happened. So that might be a fun story to pay attention to next time he has this outing. How many cutters does he throw? Because I do remember that was a story this spring.
Yeah. And what I've noticed with a lot of these pitchers, what I love with the Seattle Mariners pitching staff is every offseason they're looking to tinker or add or something. Like Bryce Miller, every year I've seen him add or tinker with something, right? A new sinker, a new splinker, a new change, a new something. Last year you had the kick change with Munoz. And so this pitching staff, and just being from a former pitcher myself, it's nice that they're continuously doing that, always looking for the next best thing, always looking to stay ahead of the game. Because when hitters, this game is already hard for hitters, but when they finally get you figured out, oh, he loves to go, he only has 3 pitches, fastball, changeup, slider, that's it, that's all you got to worry about. He just threw me 2 sliders. He's probably kind of come with a fastball. I've seen this pitch over and over again. It makes the game just a touch easier. And if you can take that away by just adding in another pitch and just being something that they're not thinking of, that's how you stay ahead of the game.
Tomorrow's matchup, game 2, has another. You have 2 righties on the mound. George Kirby takes the mound for the first time. Gavin Williams for the Guardians. It's on Apple TV. I know a lot of people are not going to be excited hearing that one. Another subscription to take care of. This one's at 6:45 Pacific time. What do you feel about George Kirby taking his season debut tomorrow?
I'm excited for it. I was actually, me personally, I was lobbying for Wu being the number 2 starter, but understanding, I believe it was Dean Kramer? A couple other guys came out, just said, hey, like they might be battling a little bit of fatigue or injury, and they just don't want to. They'd rather not challenge it. They might be 100%, but we're just not going to challenge it. Matchups, all that other stuff that comes into play. I'm very excited to see Kirby. He's got a new arm slot. He's dropped it down a little bit. He's gained a little bit of movement on his pitches. So I'm excited to see what he can do with 30 plus starts in this new form. Last couple of years, you thought maybe he's plateaued a little bit. Maybe this is the year that he finally kicks it into gear and he becomes closer to that ace that we drafted out of Elon so many years ago.
Yeah, I kind of had a little bit of an answer to that, why he's going second in the order compared to Wu. Justin Hollander was on the radio right before opening day on Thursday morning, I guess it was, and he was talking about someone asked him a question. I think it was Ryan Divish asking the question about why the certain order is the way it was, and he explained it. He said, he just wanted to give Brian Wu a little extra time because of all the injuries he had last year, so that's why they put him down the 3rd in the order. Nothing too crazy in that one. And then the reasons why Castillo is 5th instead of 4th is because he had a kid during camp and he missed just a little bit of time, so they wanted to give him just a little bit of extra time as well. So that's it. Doesn't sound like there's anything really too analytic about it. Just more of just, hey, we're in no rush here. Just like we're trying to get ourselves out of playoff mindset. Look at that. The GM of the Mariners doing exactly what we're trying to do. A couple other housekeeping things he said before we get out of here. Bryce Miller, he said that he thinks that he'll be out for about a month. Not too bad. He thinks April is about the date for him. They're not going to rush him, but they said about a month is good. JP Crawford, he thinks he's a lot closer. He said he's already going to be taking minor league games in Arizona, and he thinks has a good chance at joining the Mariners for the road trip at the beginning of next week. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I'm excited for Bryce Miller. Take as long as you need with him. We do have a couple other options. There's no reason to rush him. You need that guy fully healthy. And I know I probably mentioned it on a couple other podcasts and everything, but make sure that he's fully healthy. If he gives you 24 games, 25 games this year, instead of the full 30 to 33, that it is what it is. But make sure that it's the 25 games that matter the most. I'd rather have him fully good to go through September and October. If knock on wood, we got a championship mindset, but also don't want to jinx anything. The baseball gods, they don't play favorites. They just they play non-favorites. So want him healthy, want him 100%. And that's what I'm hoping with Bryce Miller, what this little minor setback is.
Mariners bounce back tomorrow. Will they take care of business on Apple TV? Will they revenge the 0-1 start for the home whites?
The home whites. Yeah, they need to revenge that. They want, they need to revenge that. And especially at home, it's we got to protect home a little bit. Like, all this, hey, it's early in the season talk that I gave. Well, just on the slight end of that, it's, hey, you got a couple games at home. Go make them count. Go get a W tomorrow. Gavin Williams is great. ECU fan favorite over there. When I was coaching out in North Carolina, I got to see him pitch. The kid's awesome. He brings a flavor to the game that I love. But George Kirby and Gavin Williams, it's going to be a good matchup tomorrow night. And if tonight gave you anything, like tonight was a fun game. Even though we lost, it was still a fun game. It was still highly offensive, and you got to see a lot of cool things. So tomorrow night, Mariners with a W. Let's go.
Let's book it. Let's do it. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to let us know your thoughts about the game of opening day. What do you think about all the home runs, about Brendan Donovan, about Canzone, Raley? What do you think about the bullpen usage? I know that's going to be a topic of discussion. Let us know all those thoughts in the comment description. If you're listening in audio, we thank you very much. Those numbers are rising every day, and it is so cool to watch that happen. So thank you for being a follower and a fan of this community here at Up West Sports. This is the Hold My Trident podcast, a Seattle Mariners podcast. We'll see you back here next time.